Welcome. I'm Betty Ann Ryder, Library Director, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the Town of Groton's annual Arbor Day celebration. We're pleased to welcome John Bird, our Town Manager, Maggie Philbrick from Maggie Jones from the Denison Pequot Nature Center, and Dick Raymond from the Connecticut Division of Forestry. Thank you all for joining us. Arbor Day has been a legal holiday since 1885, and since 1989, the holiday has been celebrated on the last Friday in April. Trees make our town a special place to live, and we're especially pleased to be hosting Groton Celebration for the second year in a row. Last year, we added a new tree to our library patio, and this year, we're beautifying our outdoor reading area. I can look out my office window and watch it grow, but we hope all of you here today will come by often to enjoy its color and shade. In June, Groton will be celebrating 24 years as a Tree City. Tree City USA recognition from the Arbor Day Foundation highlights Groton's commitment to urban forestry, community improvement, and civic pride. Once again, we thank you for joining us for Groton's Arbor Day program as we continue this long tradition in the town. And now I'm going to ask Maggie Jones, the Executive Director of the Denison Pequot Nature Center, to come up and share a few words with us. And also thank Maggie because she helped us pick our tree this year. So, Maggie.
Well, the black gum, black tupelo, pepperidge, it goes by lots of common names, is one of my favorite trees, and birds love it. And if it's a female black gum, which we can't tell, but it will produce fruits that are edible not only for birds, but they're delicious lemony flavored fruits. So it's a fun one. I can imagine, in future years coming out here with kids and saying, oh, you have to taste one of these berries. They're very good. So I don't know, Dick Raymond's going to speak too, and maybe you're going to give the history of Arbor Day, so I wasn't going to get into that, but this is roughly the 150th anniversary, I think, or they're getting close to Arbor Day, and if you think back in the 1870s when it started, there weren't a lot of trees. A lot of the trees have been cut down, and I think there's what is it about trees? It's bird nests and safety, beautiful vistas. I mean, they give us apples and places to climb and swing, but life is linked to trees in so many ways, and we're really more closely related to trees than most people realize. So, and though they are, and I won't get into the whole genetic DNA stuff, but really, trees and humans are remarkably similar at the cellular and biochemical level. But though they are rooted in place, they grow, they reproduce, they die, they get diseases, they have predators. And they also have defenses, so they contend with competition, and they move in their own way and respond to stimuli and have elaborate mechanisms for dispersal and things like that. So they are like us in more ways than we realize, but mostly they've been our intimate associates throughout our entire evolutionary history. So our ancestors lived in trees, and then millions of years later, we, their descendants, have built civilization using trees. So they provide us with the raw materials of life, and you don't have to look far. I mean, just walk through the library, things like building materials, the obvious stuff, but food and tools and fuel and clothing, and then of course the ecological role of trees in maintaining our atmosphere and protecting us from flood and erosion and all that stuff. So trees are really incredible symbols of nature. Like when you ask a child, when you think of nature, what do you think of? Most of them will probably say a tree. And there's something that we connect to without really even thinking about it. But then when you do start thinking about it, you realize how deep that connection goes. So they make us feel small, make us feel a part of something larger, and so happy Arbor Day. I think it's a wonderful thing that we take time out of our busy lives to just sort of recognize our partners on this earth, and trees, we wouldn't be here without them. So thank you.
Now we are very pleased to have with us Dick Raymond, who is the service forester that takes care of our part of Connecticut, from the Connecticut DEP Division of Forestry.
Thank you. A brief history of Arbor Day. I wasn't going to go too involved into it. Arbor Day was started in Nebraska. The pioneers there missed their trees, and J. Morton Sterling, who was a newspaper editor, started it, got people involved in it. So in April of 1872, he started the first unofficial Arbor Day. And approximately just in Nebraska that day alone, 1 million trees were planted. The first recognized Arbor Day, again only in Nebraska, was in April of 1874. By the turn of the century, every state had Arbor Day, not necessarily on the same day, and eventually it became the last Friday in April. Connecticut's Arbor Day actually started in 1887. A gentleman by the name of Birdsey Grant Northrup, who was a lover of trees and done many tree projects over the year, at the time was the secretary of the Board of Education, the State Board of Education, and he started the movement here in Connecticut. And we have a proclamation from the governor. Whereas Arbor Day offers an opportunity to take stock and know the majestic greenery above us and the joy of the blooms, it is a day to admire the natural beauty around us, as well as to plant or care for a new tree. It can teach our students the future of our state, the need for environmental care and conservation, and along with the plight of forest here and throughout the world. And whereas these trees and urban forests provide cleaner air and cleaner water, improve conditions for public health, attractive parks, shaded streets, increased property value, reduced energy costs, and a sense of connection among the people who share in these benefits. And whereas Arbor Day is a day on which Tree City USA demonstrates and proclaims their support for trees and urban forestry by encouraging strong urban forestry programs and by setting the specific standards for these communities to follow. And whereas Tree City USA designation is a result of the dedication and hard work of each community, the tree wardens, the elected officials, administrators, and urban forestry staff, along with the commitment and effort of numerous volunteers. These volunteers are instrumental to any community becoming a Tree City USA. And whereas the Tree City USA program operates with the strong support of the Connecticut State Forester and the DEEP Forestry Program, and is considered an integral part of the state's urban forestry program. Now, therefore, I, Daniel P. Malloy, Governor of the State of Connecticut, hereby recognize the accomplishments of Connecticut's Tree City USA in the state of Connecticut, and also encourage all communities throughout the state to join in the celebration of Arbor Day by planting trees and otherwise appreciation of the importance of the urban forest. Signed, Daniel P. Malloy, Governor. Tree City USA is a function of the Arbor Day Foundation. And to be a tree city, a community has to meet 4 standards. First of all, it has to appoint a tree board. It has to have a tree care ordinance. It requires that a community tree care program with a $2 per capita budget has to hold what we are doing here today, an Arbor Day celebration and proclamation. And in recognition of Groton's past 23 years as a Tree City USA, I present them with their 23rd year flag. And this will, I believe, fly at the town hall. Oh, we got it backwards. So I congratulate Groton on his 23rd year and look forward to working with them on their 24th year coming up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, the Town Council of Groton has also made a proclamation for Arbor Day for 2018, and I'm going to ask John Burt, the town manager, to come up and share that with us.
Good afternoon. Proclamation recognizing Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil from wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide a habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our town increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas, in recognition of National Arbor Day, a tree planting ceremony will take place on Friday, April 27th, 2018 at the Groton Public Library, where a black gum tree, Nyssa sylvatica wildfire, will be planted. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of Groton does hereby urge all citizens to support all efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to plant trees to promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed by Patrice Granatoski, Mayor of the Town of Groton. Thank you.
And now the important part, we're going to actually plant our trees. So if I can ask maybe Maggie and John and Dick to come up, we have shovels and we will take care of that.
We'll come back.